Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode of In the Trenches. I'm super stoked to share with you tonight our guest. He is a writer, a director, and someone who I admire greatly. He started off in music videos and transitioned that to directing feature films with his latest film, Old Henry. His name is Potsy Ponciroli. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Trenches.
Yeah, it's great. I love this room. I got to tour your house. I haven't seen this place. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
So,
what you been up to, man?
working. It's been this. We're in the middle of the strike. The WGA strike was one thing, and it was like once it ended, you're like, all right, now we can get back to work.
Yeah.
But then it's still a slug because
Dude, I hear it from everyone.
Because the SAG is still striking. So it's like,
Yeah.
and if you get the interim agreement, you're saying you're going to give them the best, the best deal possible.
Sure.
So even if SAG agrees to something smaller, you still have to pay them on the big one. So then when you go to sell that to Netflix, you're screwed because Netflix is never going to agree to it.
That's going to be a tough battle.
So people are running into that problem now. So everybody's afraid to move. So we're just sitting.
Jeez.
Writing and...
The battles of being a big-time feature film director, I guess, right? You got to join us little guys down in the music video land.
Right. Well, you do more video. You're just shooting. I'm looking at your wall here. So... Do
you miss shooting the videos?
Let me think about that. I miss the quickness of it, and I miss the creativity and really I miss the relationship with the artist and that being out on the road like that is so I was out with Kenny Chesney for about 5 years, and we were shooting everything he did from being on stage to being in the Bahamas to the after party in Boston when he played back-to-back nights. Like, it was such a crazy 5-year whirlwind. You'd hop on the jet and you'd go down to the Bahamas and you'd go to shoot a show in San Francisco. And it was that proximity to that famous person because of there's an energy around them, and it's not for you, but you get it and you feel it. Like, I remember walking out, Kenny wasn't even out there yet. And I walked down stage and I just filmed the audience. It was a stadium, a massive arena.
Sure.
And I remember filming out and looking out at this arena, and they all started cheering because you're filming.
Yeah, sure.
And I went to the tip of the stage and I was filming them.
Yeah, dude,
and
heart races.
All that directed energy, and you just go off the chart. And it's like, fuck. And then
you were shooting film too, right?
We shot everything.
16.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was winding bullets, like, running back, reloading it real quick, and everything. But the problem is, you do that enough when you come home, and you have a backyard barbecue with your friends. You don't have that high. And I'm not even the person singing that they're directing the energy towards you, so I can't imagine.
Well, it feels like you're kind of at summer camp,
Yeah.
It really does,
It's
you're out with the boys,
it's the best world.
You don't have really many responsibilities other than crush what you need to do with the camera.
Yeah.
I mean,
and even that you don't have to do very well, because as long as the majority of your footage looks good, you can't blame
it on the film.
Because there was a time when we were in Atlanta, Kenny was out there with Dave Matthews, and I was a huge Dave Matthews fan, when I was younger, and I remember being like, "Oh my God, Dave's here! This is gonna be amazing!" And it was a shed. So it's a flat fronted stage. They don't have the catwalk or anything. And it was Kenny and it was Dave. And then I was out here with this camera. I had I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a 5D. It was what was the camera? I don't remember. But anyway, I remember I was leaning over so I can get in front of them both like this. And I'm filming. And one of the rules with Kenny was everybody drank. You drank while you worked.
Sure, of course.
There was no wait till you're finished working and then drink.
Yeah.
And this night I had a few too many. And I was out there for probably 2 or 3 minutes.
This one night, though, right?
This one. Only this night. I was out there for 2 or 3 minutes, and I remember leaning over the stage and filming and just watching Dave, and I got lost in the concert. And I looked down, and my camera's completely off. No lights, no nothing. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, freaked out. I was like, fucking, I'm done. I went back. So it's never had anything... Never had any footage.
So moral to the story is you do miss the old days.
You always miss that because it's so much fun and so much energy and friendships and
I mean,
and all that.
think about it, because That was roughly when I mean, not roughly. That was when I moved here from Los Angeles. And
Yeah,
it
no,
was you, Blake, and Silva.
Yep.
And
who else was
Deanna.
there? Deanna was our rep.
Deanna was our rep, and
Yep.
that was it, man.
No, there was one more guy. Who was
Isaiah.
Josiah was there in the office. Yeah.
And man, we were just like a little gang, weren't we?
Well, we were idiots.
For me, just moving here from LA, at that time, it feels like I jumped in the window as the window was shutting and my feet got nailed on the way in, and I made it through the golden era of Nashville film. Meaning, like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I can partake in some of those conversations, you know.
Before it became
Robert
15,000
Deaton and Flanagan
Yeah.
and Trey Fanjoy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm trying to think of other...
Roman White.
Roman White is what I was thinking, yeah.
You know? But what I remember for me moving from LA to here, it was the bond we had, though. Honestly, that's when Troy and I came up with this podcast, you truly were like the first or second person that I wanted
to talk about BMX stories.
No. Because honestly, I feel like you do embody every music video director's dream. You know, you go from doing a late bloomer, by the way. You were late to the game. I mean, some people were filmmaking when they were 12.
Well, no, I mean, I always, I ran around with a camera when I was a teenager. I went to college for filmmaking, but when I graduated, I was in Nashville, and it was like, all right, my goal is to get to LA. And so I'll give you a story. This is when I was in college, Dawson's Creek was on the air.
Okay.
End of the Dawson's Creek days. But I remember I would always watch the episode, and there was one EP, and I always remembered his name. And I can't tell you it now, but I always remember his name. And so in college, I called out to LA from Bowling Green, Kentucky, where I was in school. And I called every day for 3 weeks. And I asked, I got a hold of whoever answered the phone. I said, whatever his name is, Eugene, whatever. And I said, I just want to talk to him about an internship over and over and over again. Finally, after 3 weeks, the dude answers the phone. And he's like, how can I help you? And I said, I'm graduating in the summer. I'm like 3 months away. I really want to get an internship in the writing department or in anywhere. And he's like, tell you what, when are you going to be in LA? And I was like, whenever I need to. So I flew out to LA, sat down with this dude, had a quick 20-minute meeting with him. I was at like cloud nine because I'm in Hollywood meeting with an exec on this show. He says, as soon as you graduate, come on out here. I'll get you an internship in the writing department. And I had no idea what that meant.
Sure.
That's like a coveted position. That's like
now,
you
especially
intern,
being a
then you
writer.
PA, then you are a staff writer, then
imagine if you had done that back then.
Well, so I was gonna do it. Go back home. 2 months from graduating, me and my buddies are out. We're having fun. We drink a little too much. We had a couple Long Island iced teas too many. I get in my car. I drive through a Crystal drive-through line, and I cut line. Waiting for me outside the drive-thru line was a cop.
Busted.
I got a DUI. Lost my license for 3 months. Had to pay a bunch of money.
Potsy.
So there is one version of me that went this way and
I hear you.
Became a writer's room. Maybe I don't know where that guy would be, but like I would love to just glimpse where that guy's life is.
You know what's interesting about that? Mm-hmm. True story. I was working as an intern in Arizona in the dub vault room, like where you this is back in VHS days, where you take the VHS, but once the massive decks, you're like 50 decks. I'm managing the records on all these decks, so you can send these tapes out. But once they're done, you got to pinch off the record part.
Oh, right. So it doesn't
record over it, right? And I had that job.
I need to show a picture of what this is to everybody watching.
I know that no one knows that we're dating myself right now, but. Anyway, I remember being in this cave. Mm-hmm. And dude, I remember calling Kevin Kerslick over and over and over again. He's like my idol. I'm gonna get him on the podcast. You know, he directed Nirvana. Yeah. Everything about Kevin's work was experimental, super in one with the music. I loved it. Anyway, I called him no differently than you did, over and over, never getting it. And then finally one day he's like, "Hey, hey, Colin, it's Ryan. Oh, hey, what's going on, man?" And I was just like, blah, 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 just riffing. He's like, "Well, yeah, man. If you find yourself in LA, holler at me, man."
Yeah.
2 days later, I packed my shit and I was gone.
You knock on his door? I mean, you went straight to him?
I didn't find him for a while, but I didn't find him for like 2 weeks. But then randomly one Sunday, I'm walking on Hollywood Boulevard alone, just kind of chilling, lonely, and I see cops on the edge of the streets. And I'm like, oh, I walk by, and I look up the street. It's a film set. You know, if you're walking, you're safe. You can go walk up the road. And I walk up the road, and sure as shit, it's Kevin shooting a video. So for that point, I had a relationship with him, and I started to intern with him.
You did?
I did.
You got it?
Yeah.
Man.
And then he actually spoke to my class at LMU, Loyola Marymount University, into my whole film class, and there was a special moment in there. I'm going to talk about it.
Did he say, like, that's how you do it? You got to annoy somebody enough to, not annoy, but, like, be persistent.
I mean, I don't think I've ever addressed that with him. I should. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if he remembers it, but he took me under his wing so specially that I'll never forget it. And that's kind of how I am now. He brought me into Telecine.
Yeah.
And all these things. I mean, I think I told a story on one of the podcasts where I was like, first day of set was my first big set.
That's amazing, yeah.
And, you know, people were telling me to go over to here with the other PAs, and he said, no, he's with me. And I held his clamshell, which is like, you know, at that point, 16 mils recording to a clamshell. So you had to record it and rewind it.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah, that? I remember.
But I was able to watch the filmmaking being done. Yeah. It was super kinetic. I'm like, yeah, this is amazing.
How old are you here? You're 19?
Oh, man, I was
18?
19.
Okay.
18 years old.
God, that's
crazy, right?
But those days you didn't know past that. You didn't know what it took to do any level past that. And so it's like, you know, even every stage of this business, it's like the first time when I went from PAing, you know, I worked as an AD, I worked as an art department for a couple of years. I wanted to learn every step of the business.
Sure.
Just to see, I wanted to make sure I knew how every department worked. And I remember getting my first job, you know, I'd make short films with friends on the side, but like my first time I got to do a behind the scenes for a music video and actually like hold a camera and not be there, not be there shoveling shit from models' feet while they're out in a cow field, which I had to do, like, which is the most embarrassing thing ever.
Sure.
And when they told me to invoice them, I was like, I don't know how much to send them. And so I asked a friend, they're like, yeah, usually it's like, you know, at the time it was like $500 for a day. And I was like, I can't ask them to pay me that.
No, right?
And you have that, I don't know, it's not FOMO. What's the word I'm looking for? Like this, I'm not good enough I don't deserve that money.
Okay.
Why would they pay me that? And so you have to,
years.
Yeah, you have to convince yourself like you deserve that money, charge them because they're used to paying it. So it's hard to like jump to the next level each time and go, I deserve to be here and not feel like a fraud, a fake, you know, that you're not like you don't deserve that step yet.
Where do you think you started? I mean, that's a great launching into like, where did
my first
directing,
job?
Directing, where did it really happen as far as like, you know, yeah.
Well, I would direct short films and we'd always do like the 48-hour film fest and everyone wants to make a movie. You know, it's like you have that, you don't, like half the time you don't even have a script, you just want to make a movie. It's like, so we do those and I would direct those and I would edit. But I actually, when I graduated, I got a real job. I was working at Dell Computers and
okay.
Just because, you know, they just moved to town and they paid a fortune and I was doing sales and I hated it. And I remember one day I walked into my boss and I was like, hey, I think I'm done. And he goes, for the day? And I was like, no, I'm just done. Because I knew I wanted to do this work. And
I remember you telling me that when I first moved here.
Oh, it was the greatest day ever. And I went outside, I rolled the windows down, turned the radio on, just drove around. And I came on a film set and they were shooting a commercial or something. And I walked out there. First guy I met, his name's going to come to me. He was the location manager. I said, hey, I want to do this. How do I do this? He said, go talk to the producer, Kim Palmer, who's still producing in town here. I know. I ran into the other day.
So, you came in when Nashville, remember, like the golden era when everyone was helping everyone.
That's true, right?
I do believe it's a little bit different
Is
now.
it different now?
Yeah. Even when I moved here, it was
Yeah.
super kind. I mean, people
Yeah.
were really going
Well,
out of their way to lift you into where you wanted to be.
Right.
Anyway, keep
Well,
going.
and help. And like,
Yes.
and that's, I think that's a huge thing is like,
Yeah.
you know, the ladder is tall and every rung you make it up, you need to leave that ladder down for somebody else. Like you need to help people get up there. And Kim Palmer's a fantastic woman. She said, call me. She goes, here's my number. Call me. You know, I'll see if I find something that you can come PA on or intern on. And for 2 weeks, I hounded her. And like every day, called her and said, how about today? Nothing. Finally, she had a 1 week long internship on a TV movie. And I killed it for her. I worked like 13-hour days, never complained. Like I loved it because it was like everything I wanted to be doing. She's like, you're amazing. I want to work with you again. So I go home. 3 weeks later, nothing. She didn't have any more jobs. So I go and I got another job, like a stupid job. And the day I was supposed to start, she calls me. And she's like, hey, I got a music video. You want to come PA? It's like $175 a day. And I was like,
Done.
What? Like, yes. Yes, I do. And that started it. And it was like, and when I was a PA, I fucking loved PA.
Did you?
Because I always tried to put myself by the director and I always tried to like I was just eager and like
You were.
I didn't care that I had to shovel shit by models fee. I didn't care about that stuff because I knew I had to go through that phase. I had to learn that, and that was like, and it was a blast. I got to travel. I got to meet people. I got to, you know, there was one. I did have to lock up a airport runway for like 6 hours without water. They forgot about me on the end of an airport runway, a driveway, and I remember I was just sunburnt to shit and just like about to die from thirst. That one sucked, but the rest.
In the name of film.
And I had a radio and I couldn't ever talk because I was afraid. I was like, I'm gonna mess up the take if I talk.
Fucked it up, but
I had to stop any car from coming on set. Just like a lobster.
I will take a bullet.
Oh, it was the worst.
So that takes me to like when I got to Nashville.
Yeah.
You were at Tackle Box. You were in a directing team, the Brads.
But we were new at directing. Like we had just gotten like Sean.
Because he's told me. Go.
Well, Sean gave us our shot. Sean was like, Blake and I had done. Blake McClure, who's a DP now. We were.
Wait. Correct yourself.
Cinematographer.
An ASC.
He is an ASC. He does like half the shows on TV.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him on the podcast. He
he's
wants to
killing
do it. I'm gonna
He
probably
really
wait
is.
till he's in town. To do
And
it.
he's got one baby.
One
I think
baby.
He might have another on the way. I don't know.
I don't know one.
Maybe I'm mistaken that. Yeah. But yes.
But anyway, Blake McClure.
So we just, there was a point where we were all sort of like, we were doing our own thing and we were getting some jobs. And like Wes Edwards was directing and I'd Wes. So So Josh, Wes, Blake, and I rented a tiny, like maybe the size of this room. We had 4 desks, one in each corner, and it was right downtown. And it was like, I think we each had to pay $75 a month. Did you ever go in this place?
Yes, I did.
It was just a one-room place.
I do. Oh my God.
But this was the beginning of a creative space, and we knew we needed it, and that was.
I'm gonna tell you, you just blew my mind. You know what I remember about that place?
What?
The mini blinds.
Yes.
Overlooking the road at a
And
certain time
right
of day.
At,
Dude.
Cumming Station. It was right there. Cumming Station. Yeah.
Oh man. See, that's what I came here to. But
yeah.
Oh, remember that. And the producer. Who is the producer?
Well, there was Josh who did animation stuff and like graphic stuff, and then who was producing then?
Bald guy. Mean looking dude. Whatever. Move on.
I can't think of him.
But I remember that joint. But remember?
Yeah.
Oh man, we would meet for lunch every day.
Oh yeah.
That was the key to me learning about Nashville, to be honest with you. Every day would be, we're going to Jason's Deli. Okay, we're going to Kalamata's.
Yeah.
We're going over. I learned the Golden Nugget.
Well, and we got nothing done in that room other than like everyone, we would all prep our different jobs or whatever, but we didn't. The biggest thing it did was like it created a spot to be creative, and that's where Blake and I decided. I met on a job. I met this director, came in town to do a video, and this guy told me a story. He's like, yeah, I wrote a script over a weekend, put $10,000 of my own money into it, went and shot this horror movie, and I got another job. And I was like, that's all you gotta do? Fuck! So I came running.
That's simple.
Came running into Blake, and I said, Blake, I got $5,000, you got $5,000. We put it together. We go direct a movie. He said, I'm in. So we were partners on this movie. We were a directing team. That's what launched it. So we go and we're like, oh fuck, we don't have a script. Biggest, like, this is back when you didn't know what you didn't know yet. So
It's easily 16 years ago because I know I was.
this is a while ago.
Yeah.
And this movie is never, we didn't even finish this movie. But so we find the script. It needs a ton of work. We didn't do the work. We just were such an eager to get this done. So we hired people. We went out and shot most of a movie. And Blake says he lost the footage. I think Blake threw it away to save us both.
As ransom.
I think he threw it away to save us both because it was a learning experience more than, you know, it was like another film school. It was like, and we realized we worked really good together, and that's when we started the Brads, and we wanted to direct as the Brads, and that got us. I think we did one video for Tamara at Stray Dog, and then Sean Silva. We met him. He was like, "You guys, I want to expand. I want to bring on directors, and you know, I can get you guys work." And he hired Deanna Kay to do it, and then I think we were there maybe a month when you showed up, and that was it. Like,
what did you think when I showed up? What did you know of me when I showed up?
When you now versus you then, you were LA, like you were big time LA.
Was I?
To Ryan.
Was I that? Was I bad coming here?
No.
Did I come here like my shit don't stink?
You can't. Your shit didn't stink a little, but you were cool enough to hang with that. We saw past that.
I got through it, but I must have caved quick.
You did. You Nashvilled up real fast.
Okay, good. Okay, I can.
But
you know what's funny about that, because I will I will agree to it, because now being shit didn't stink. So no, because now being a native, I see LA folks coming here, and I see them on sets, and I'm now with my Nashville crew.
That you
and
put up against anybody in the world.
Yeah.
Like, they're fantastic.
Dude. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, give him some time. He'll chill out a little bit.
Well, I think everybody comes in and they go, all right.
I'm so much
and
better
I've done
than
it.
you.
I've done it in
You guys,
when I go to
you
small
guys
towns.
don't. You shit in a bucket and walk barefoot.
That's what you think, and you know better, but you do it, and so they're coming in and doing it. But once they realize that nobody really cares, there's no ego, and it's like, then they're like, oh, this is way better than what's happening there, and so you kind of blend in quick, and it.
Those were the glory days, though, man. I mean, honestly, like,
fun.
do you remember me I mean, here's the truth. You had Sean Silva,
Who was top of the food chain,
of the food chain,
directing Kenny Chesney and
Rascal
Luke Bryan
Flats.
and,
Remember those?
Oh, we go to New York and spend $400,000 on a video, and it was.
He would roll up to any of our jobs.
Yeah.
Grab a camera.
Yeah.
For however long he was going to be there, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Add his little sauce to it. I mean, he did it for me. At least 4 or 5 times. Where I'd be like, give him the camera. And he would do his thing. Me, I remember on that first video, now my son is a swim meet out Highway 100. I remember hanging out side of a truck.
Oh, yeah.
Leaning with the camera, and you guys were. I remember that was kind of like a break bread moment with you guys, because I showed up, and I wasn't even there to. I was there to bro with you guys, help you out.
It created such an environment of, like, and our job was to go, like, this is what I think. You know, I think you came in and you told stories of like the rock star days of directing. Like, we're directors, we're rock stars.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We were at the tail end of that. Like, we came in when you weren't really
You're
a rock
still
star.
doing film.
And we came in at the tail end where it was like right on the borderline, and it was. But our job was to go out every night, because Nashville Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would party like crazy. Like, and our job was to go out and hang with all the up and coming young stars.
I remember everything was 15 minutes away.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh,
Just do the whole night, a whole
go downtown.
circuit.
What was that? There was a rooftop bar or a second floor of a hotel downtown that everybody hung out at, and I can't think of the name of this. It was one of the older hotels, but the second floor, you'd show up there on a Tuesday, and it was like every young musician, like who was Deanna's boyfriend at the time? He was part of the
Corey,
the Mafia, music Mafia.
Oh, dude,
John Rich,
oh, the
all those
Spot,
guys. Yep.
the Spot.
Oh, yeah,
I remember that.
So we would like,
it was easy access. It was just,
it was a party.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
I I do relish in kind of like the days of, I don't know, more teamwork, more efforts of camaraderie.
Yeah. You know, Sean does too, because Sean's called me
Yeah.
before, and this was a couple years back. It was after, you know, I'd started Hideout and you were gone and Blake was gone. And he called and he's like, don't you just miss like the hang? Like,
Hang.
we all take ourselves too seriously now. We just, like, you get too many, I don't know if it's too many responsibilities,
Egos.
kids, egos, everything.
Where, you know, when think about it. Remember, I mean, back when I was at Tackle Box before I left,
Yeah.
I was the first to leave. And
That's right,
the reason I left, and I told Sean, and I hold true to it, it was like, I came from Los Angeles.
Sorry, let me turn that off.
Yeah. That's your edit you have to get to.
I know, sorry. Hit that one more time.
I told Sean, I was like, you cast a well-earned shadow over yourself. And I can't be in the shadow. I can't be under your shadow of your umbrella.
You want to do your own thing.
And he goes, I can't fault you for that. You know, but he introduced me to, I mean, Tackle Box was a fantasy when I first moved here. It was everything. It would
there
not.
Was one day we were all sitting around. We were like, I think Sean had a photo of an old BMX bike, or he was working on an old GT, like the bikes we had when we were kids. And the next day we all had one, and that was back when that Worthing Lofts,
no, that was
what's the name of his, the motor car?
Yeah.
Wherever the office was. I'm gonna do this too. No, but the place was empty. Marathon Motorworks.
Yes.
The place was deserted. And we would ride our bikes up and down, and never see another person. There was empty offices all along there.
I remember that.
You can't even park there now.
But see, I left before. And honestly, truthfully, I regret leaving too early.
When did you left before all that? Well,
the bike started to happen. I think there was just a lot of there was a transition in the business. Well, look, I left LA when it was happening, and it caught up to me here, and it was the 5D movement, and that, you know, that's when you saw Roman White doing jobs for Carrie Underwood, which were much of a different budget than we were accustomed to, you know, and things were changing, and because people were utilizing the new technology.
Right.
It was a lot. You know?
No, and I think that the fact that anyone could go out and shoot with a 5D, could take a camera and go shoot a video that looks amazing, and in the right hands is just as good as a 30, you know, a red or whatever. It's like, that's scary, and that became, you know, and I remember, you know, going on the road with people. It was like, that was always fun, but then they started going, oh well, the artist, like Lee Bryce, not him, but somebody like that, has their own guy, guy that they want to take with them, and their buddy that they.
Well, that's where it shifted now.
Yeah,
it's where the business has made moves. You know, one thing I do want to talk about before we get there, because that's something important. Mm-hmm. I'm still moving my way to the big news of you know, where you've come, but like, we were both a part of something unique, and that's the directing team. Mm-hmm. And as we sit here, I can't help but to mention it, because the whole reason I started this podcast is because I feel like, honestly, without the podcast, you wouldn't be here.
Right. No, I haven't seen you.
Do you know what I mean? You haven't seen me forever.
Yeah.
And look, we're having a blast.
Yeah.
You know, and I miss that. And it's what I had when I moved here.
To have friends, it's fine.
Yeah, I have to.
it's people have done less for.
I got to do what I got to do.
But
I was a part of a directing team. I don't know if a lot of people know, but I was a part of Smith and Boren. We did, I mean, a decade of monstrous music videos.
Like when MTV was a thing, you were going to MTV Music Awards and stuff.
Oh yes, and directing Eminem the next day.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a Cloud 9.
Yeah.
And it was a different business.
19, 20 years old, right?
Absolutely, in my early 20s.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I do miss the bond of bouncing ideas immediately with someone, not being solely on the hook for all of your not ideas, but your decisions.
Yeah.
You know, you're the executive decision maker, whatever. But it was always nice to know that I did like having someone to share my glories with.
Yeah.
I did. I enjoyed it. And it was also nice to, of course, take your blows.
Right. When
With
it's
a best friend.
When you're a teammate, it's like you're a cooler asset. They're like, oh, it's a duo. They're fun. I want to hang with those guys, or I want, for some reason it just has I feel like it's a bigger sell. A duo. Thank you, sir.
Yes. By the way,
Cheers.
hey, real quick, thanks for you got the memo for the
flannels. Yeah.
Good call.
I actually put it on and I go, Ryan does wear a lot of flannels.
I wear flannels.
And I was like, nah, not tonight. He won't be wearing one tonight. So.
Someone invited me to a party tomorrow for the CMA Awards, and he's like, we got to dress up. I'm like, yeah, I'll wear my best flannel.
That nobody cares. Actually, CMAs are pretty fancy.
Do you? I enjoy reliving and bringing up these old stories because it feels so far removed from today.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No, my buddy Olmstead reminded me the other day that we had some party at Sean's house, and Sean had built white walls with light behind him and hired 3 girls to dance.
Silva?
3 girls to dance behind these lights for this big party.
At his house?
No, at Tackle Box.
A tackle box, okay.
Were you not there for that?
No.
I feel like you were there till the end. And
No, I left. I honestly, I don't know. I was probably, like you brought up the LA thing. I was probably too in my own ego. I don't know. I wish I had stayed a little longer to enjoy or to be a part of the, I don't know, what was going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you look back at different moments of your life. You're like, that was the best time. That was the best time. Like,
it was the highlight of Nashville film for me.
Well, I look back at college, I'm like, oh, I can't beat that. And then I look back at the Silva and the Kenny days, I'm like, oh, that was amazing. But you always look back and say that, but you're in one, you could be in one right now that you're going to look back on and say,
we would write treatments together up in that loft and come up with ideas and bounce things. Dude.
You spend a day on a treatment, though. Yeah. And I think Blake and I at our height were 2 for 10. Like, out of 10 treatments, we got 2 jobs. And each treatment takes at least a day. It takes probably a day to think of it and pull pictures, and then another day to
shoot. Even now with treatments, Troy, God bless you, I love you.
Are you doing them?
Troy, no. I first tell him the idea.
Yeah.
And he likes it for the budget, and then I throw down on paper. I'm just blah 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 dot 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 blah 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 possibly blah blah. If some burst of paragraph comes, I go with it, and then it comes out looking like a rosebud.
Like you threw up on. Boom. So that's what Blake did for me. Like, I would word vomit onto a page.
Word vomit. Yeah,
we'd come up with the idea together, and then I'd word vomit. Blake would make it sound really cool, and then I'd pull pictures while he was doing that, and he'd make the pictures look really cool and put it all together. And it was like, that's the beauty of a partner. It's like,
it's true.
It's even with Hideout right now. Shannon Houchins is my business partner. Yeah. He owns the record label. Shannon is business minded. Like, he's very creative.
But he lets you do your thing.
But he's the best partner because he's super creative, but he's also super business minded. And so I don't have to be. I'm not business minded, and thankfully, and luckily, I've listened enough in the room with him that now if I go in a room, I can hold my own. But if you poke holes in that too much, I'm going to sound like an idiot.
So real quick, so people aren't totally confused. Shannon, let's get to him in 1 second because I left Tackle Box, and then eventually some months later or so, a year or whatever, you left, right? Mm-hmm. And then at some point you broke apart from your directing team, right? Just like I did. Yep. It was just, you're moving somewhere else creatively, you know, for you easily. Blake, I'll be honest with you. I wonder if I was took part in some of that shit.
With Blake?
With you guys, because I was such good friends with each of you. And I would get your personal talks at different times, and I'd be like, Blake, honestly, I think you're wanting to be a director so you can say you're being a director. and because it feels good to be a director. But go be a DP.
Go
be a
is
DP.
A
you
DP.
are insane.
He really is.
You are insane, and you don't need to be clouded with the bullshit that comes out of director.
We hated talking to the clients.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
And even on set,
leave him alone. Put blinders on him. Let him be visual.
And he will be creative in those moments. Like he helps, and he's creative, and he always wants to test things and try things and experiment. And it's like he's fantastic at it.
But at the same time, I'd be telling you need to go be a director.
Yeah, I don't want to be a DP.
You see what I mean? But you don't need to be. It was the same thing with me. I'm a very strong-minded personality. Mm-hmm. I don't need, if I say blue, for it to then be green. Mm-hmm. No, blue is fucking blue.
There's a lot of shades of blue, but yes.
You know what I mean? But like, I that's what came to me with the direct. It was just like different aesthetics.
Well, I think it's you have to want to create relationships. And, in video with like every one of I'm looking around your room, it's like with Wolf, you have a relationship. With Lee Bryce, you have a relationship. With Morgan, there's a relationship. It's like, but those guys aren't going to hire you again. Being creative and good is part of the job. Being a good hang is another part of the job.
Absolutely.
And it probably shouldn't be as much of it, but that is very important. I think it helps because you want to work with people you want to be around. And that's like, when we did the TV show, it was like the crew and the cast and like everybody, it was that was another kind of one of those look back moments. Like we had such an easy, fun, just experience in that whole thing. Yeah. It was all the people I'd been working with on music videos over all the years that finally had a home for 2 years making the show.
But first I will say your personality, I mean, you can even tell from just talking to you right now, whether it's ignorance, whatever.
I know where you're going with this.
You broke through, you charged through the creative process. Me personally, I'm inspired by that. I feel like I was that when I was a younger person. Mm-hmm. You're doing it in a way that I've never done. And maybe I actually was running towards where you are going, but I slowly came to a stop. Because to take music videos and say, you know how many people have told me, I won't be doing videos by the time I'm 32.
Yeah.
How old are you now? You know what I mean?
But
you have to be cognizant of it
yeah.
because you don't just step into movies.
Right.
You stepped into, like, I remember everyone telling you, okay, and I was probably one of them. I was probably supportive, but I would turn around and be like, good God. Because I was probably arrogant in my LA ways saying, he wants to do a movie. But when you got Super Zeros underway, for me, that was the watch. Everyone realized, oh, well, he says he's going to do something. It's going to happen. He's going to do it.
Well, part of it is you being from Nashville. We're outside of the system. We're outside of the LA bubble. So you kind of have to prove yourself here. And Super Zeros was basically like, I want to go make a movie. I had done, Shannon, my current partner. I was still at Taco Box at the time. I went to Shannon. Deanna kept telling me, like, Shannon wants to make movies, talk to him about movies. Yeah. So Shannon and I sat down. I said, look, I can make a movie for $150,000. 2 idiot brothers run a porta pot business. A meteor strikes one of them, and he gets superpowers. And he goes, I love it. Let's go do it. Like, that's how easy that sell was.
Cut to your office looking like a CIA office with charts everywhere, dude. That was inspiring, man.
So he gave us the go. But the problem was we didn't know what we didn't know. So of course, Blake was going to DP it. Wants to shoot on anamorphic.
Of course.
35 millimeter. We got a free camera from Panavision. We shot on short ends.
I still think the anamorphic was a wrong play.
It looks.
It's
an amazing.
But it was young filmmakers going, I want the hottest new shit.
I want to do what Spielberg does.
I want that shit. Yep. I want that. When really it just needed to be spherical. Let it be a little more open.
There was the 75 lens was this big. The 1,000-foot mag was this big, and then the body's like this. So I was standing on the roof of a house with the easy rig on and this bazooka of a camera because Blake didn't want to do it. He didn't want to get up on the roof. Where our main actor, this was like early in filming, has to fall backwards off the roof onto a pad. And our stuntman that we had, local stuntman, put a pad the size of this table down. And we're like, don't you want to put like a couple
Double?
more pads? And he goes, no, because then he'll get overconfident. And I was like,
Okay.
you know what you're doing. All right, let's go. Like, and thank God. And the roof is pitched, so he had to like lean up on one foot. And he had to fully commit. It was like an 18-foot drop or 15-foot drop back onto this pad. But, on this, like, we just did everything we wanted to do. And it was amazing. And when that was done, I was like, all right, here we have a movie. We're going to, like, Hollywood, open your gates. Here we come. And you make a movie, and then you go, well, no, we didn't put anybody in it. Nobody of value,
Sure.
how they say value. So at the end of the day, we had a movie that Shannon had paid for. But thankfully, Shannon was like, all right, that's cool. Let's use it. Let's keep going.
Yep.
And so that's when I was like, all right.
You guys, by the way, you guys are really good together.
He's a great partner. He really is. And
Very.
it's,
He gets you very well.
He does, and he pushes, and he has great ideas, and he always like, when I'll get to like, because we launched a distribution side of our company, because that's the side of the company that makes money. And we were like, oh, well, that's helpful. But that's all Shannon's, like, he sees these things and he just goes down these lanes. But when Super Zeros was done, it was like, all right, well, I just spent, 8 months on this movie, but it's not getting me any more work. So back to videos.
But can I stop you for a second, though,
Yeah.
real quick? Just can you remember where that is? I can't. I'm not good with that stuff. But when you did your first movie, did you even have an idea of what you were going to do once it was done?
No, and that's the problem.
Okay.
That's where, and Shannon will tell you too, it's like, we just made a movie. And then it was like, all right, now what do we do with it?
I remember the woes. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
When he thought, because he has, through the label, he had direct deals through Walmart, and he thought, all right, well, I can't get it on the shelves of Walmart as a movie, but I can get it on the shelves of Walmart as a music, as an album.
Sure.
So we made a soundtrack.
You're just trying to make your money back at that point.
So he sold the soundtrack, and you got a free movie with it.
I remember that. Okay.
And the problem was nobody knew to look for this movie in the soundtrack aisle of.
But that didn't stop you. You went right into Still the King.
Well, no. Then I said, all right, Shan, let's start a company. We started Hideout.
By the way, I remember being like completely envious.
Well,
in a good way of your logo. I was like,
over our logo.
because like you and I talked about like childhood, childhood adventure movies, Goonies, Raiders of the Lost Ark, those
that's
movies. And that's Hideout.
When we started Hideout, that was the idea, and I wanted a fantasy factory, and so I built my office with a secret door that had a Nerf wall behind it of Nerf guns, and we'd have Nerf battles. I had a zip line in the warehouse, and it was great. But I was making, Shannon's
Tackle
company,
Box 2.0.
Well, it was like we'd ride skateboards around and ride bikes around, and it was awesome. But I wasn't creatively getting there because I had to do music videos to build Hideout, and I was doing, it was all through Shannon's company, so like they didn't spend $50,000-$80,000 on a music video. They spent like 5 to 10, maybe 15 sometimes.
That's a tough gig.
So it went from doing, Billy Currington at $90,000 to $15,000 and slogging through that. And it was like, and it was still fun. And those videos were great. And the people I worked with were amazing. But I still was like, all right, made a movie. Now I'm doing these. How do I get to the next step? And that's when this is, again, I guess, naivety, me not knowing you just don't do this. Shannon and I went to a lunch with Billy Ray Cyrus. It was a music lunch, and Shannon was like, "Just come along. We're gonna go to a meeting after that." He's like, "Just tag along. Billy Ray Cyrus will be there. We're in LA." And he's like, so we sit with Billy Ray Cyrus. They talk music for a minute, and then he goes, "Billy, tell him, didn't you have an idea for a show?" So Billy tells us this pitch of like X one-hit wonder crashes into a church, tricks the church into becoming a preacher. It's like, all right. And so we started talking. I was like, if it's dark, like My Name is Earl, a different side of Billy Ray could be cool. He's like, oh man, this is great. Like Billy Ray gets, all excited. We go back to his house in Toluca Lake after lunch. Billy Ray's trying on Elvis wigs and glasses. We're there for 2 hours. We like smoked a bowl out of a Red Bull can. Yeah. Like it was an amazing afternoon. And I said, hey Billy, let me write the pilot. If you don't like it, throw it away. He goes, all right, cool. So on the flight home, talked about it with Shannon for a minute, like, oh, that was cool. You know, we could do the show and we'll make it dark and everything. Get home, go back to normal life. 2 weeks later, Billy Ray calls me. It was a Thursday night. And he's like, hey, Potsy, I'm going to NBC tomorrow. I need that script. And I was like, all right, let me polish it up and I'll send it to you in the morning. And I hung up and I was like, fuck. But I didn't tell him no. So
that's great.
So I didn't know what to do. So Travis was in
That's
town.
the Potsy I remember. Just no, there is no.
Well, there's no because I want it. I want it.
Yes, I got you.
So I called Travis and said, hey, where are you at? He goes, I'm heading to the airport. I'm heading because he was kind of splitting time in Nashville and LA.
Sure.
And he's like, I'm in Nashville, but I'm heading to the airport. I said, don't go. Come to the office. This is at 9:30 at night. Travis shows up with a 12-pack of beer and some Adderall. We wrote till 3:30 in the morning, wrote 25 pages, just hammering it out, like trading off, just making shit up. Woke up in the morning, we looked it over one time, and we're like, whatever. Sent it off at like 9 a.m. 2 weeks go by. We don't hear anything. Billy Ray calls. He's like, brother, I love this thing. Like, I love this thing. And we're like, wait, what? And so then I go to Shannon. I'm like, all right, what do we do? And he goes, let's shoot the pilot. And
see, that's where Shannon doesn't back down.
No,
he
and
goes
Shannon
right
even
into it.
He
Let's
put his
invest.
own money in.
Yes, let's invest.
So we raised $250,000. I got $50,000 from a buddy in Florida.
How much? 200. No, how much total?
$250 total.
$250. Okay.
So I got a buddy of mine gave me $50,000. Shannon put in like 60, and then a couple other buddies gave us more money. So we had $250,000. We shot this amazing pilot, and then we're like, we're gonna make this show.
I remember I sat for a while.
Shopped it all around town. Nobody wanted it. And then like 8 months later, Dave Downey, Billy Ray's manager, went to CMT and he walked in and they were like, this is amazing. And CMT had never done scripted TV before. They only did reality and music. And so they were like, we want it. We're going to do the show. So they fly me out to LA. I sat there for a month and re-edited the pilot.
I remember
to
that.
like kind of make it, It was really dark. Like he woke up with 2 naked girls in the bread truck. Like it was dark. And so they kind of tweaked it a hair. And then we made all our deals, and then like they were like, all right, well, you can be the showrunner, you can direct them, the episodes, and your company can go be the production company. And Shannon and I were like, all right, well, here we go. So I went from directing music videos to show running a show, and it was like, because we did it ourselves. Otherwise, they would have never let me do it. And luckily, CMT didn't really know what they were, I mean, they'd never done a script to show before.
Yeah.
So
I've talked to Blake before, because he says the same thing. The DP of the show,
Yeah.
obviously Blake McClure, but like the look of season 1 is like,
well,
good God! I mean, he pushed it like blue, like cyans and the shadows
these
and
things
like
that put a cover on the lens in it. You can tweak the color, but they were he had them made.
Yeah, no, we did
And
a
so
video once where he was testing that theory out. It's beautiful.
There were no notches, so you didn't know what number. So
Yes.
when you're matching A and B camera,
Yes.
you're guessing.
I know.
And so he
But
said,
those are the woes you learn.
no, he loved it though. He got to do whatever he wanted, and that was the thing, is like we flipped a bread truck and blew it up. We blew up a gas station. Like we got to do whatever we wanted because they were in LA and we were here, and nobody was telling us no. And I didn't know how to do a writer's room, so they put this EP, this one girl who had
Did you fake it till you make it?
Oh no! So she come. They put one girl in there in the writers' room who had done this before. And our first meeting, she goes, "So where have you written before?" I was like, "Oh no, I haven't." She goes, "Where'd you PA? A writers' room PA?" And I was like, "I didn't do that either." I said, "I've PA'd. I've worked for 10 years to get to this point."
You're sitting there trying
Like,
to justify your
worked,
existence.
But I haven't done your work. And she goes, "And you're show running?" And you could see
Yeah, I'm a badass.
the anger in her face because
she's put in the work.
she had interned for 4 years,
Yeah.
PA'd in a writer's room for
She's
like
doing the
4 years.
circuit.
Yeah. So, but they didn't tell. I got to hire all my friends in the writers' room, and then Travis, Kevin, and Doug, like Kylie, all these fun people, and then I was like, all right, well, I don't want to go sit in an office every day, so we rented a house in LA with a pool, and that was our writers' room. So we cleared out the living room, put whiteboards everywhere, and we'd go in, and I heard horror stories of like some writers' rooms go till 2 a.m, and it's like, you better get this done. Our writers' rooms were from 10 to 6 every day, and it was a blast. And like everyone was happy, and we got all 13 scripts done.
I can't imagine too much of what you would do is not fun.
That's
I mean,
we
you
have
find
the
a
best job
way.
in the world.
Yes, we do, but you have a special knack for making. I was even telling Troy before you got here. I'm like, he lights up a room. That's all I can say. He's great with people. One thing, I don't want to cut you short.
No.
If I did.
No, not at all.
But before we get in, before we get into like the movie side of things, I did want to, because I do think our audience is going to be tickled on one small little factoid.
Okay.
And that
Where
is,
you going?
yeah, I'm going to go there with it. And that is, you, in fact, are the reason that I know Yellow Wolf.
Yes, you are. Yep.
I remember working on a photo, not in this house, like 2 houses pre this house, on this desk, working on photos or something, and I get a phone call from you. And you're like, hey, would you want to DP this? I was like,
It was like $8 grand. It was not a lot of money.
No, the full video, not for me. The
No,
video,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
The video was
it was like
$8
Paul Wall or something, right?
It was Yellow Wolf and Paul Wall. Yep.
And you were like, it was with Yellow Wolf. I'm like, yeah. And truthfully, all I remember from Yellow Wolf, and I've even told this to him, is a video that my friend Chris Sims did way back when with Busta Rhymes and stuff like that. I was like, wow, he's fucking good.
We went to like old tire shops.
but-
And remember, it was like
Yeah, but my introduction to meeting Wolf in person
Yep.
was you, because you, in fact, did many of his
did 3,
early
yeah.
grind before before me, before Love
no.
Story.
I think my videos were like under 10, and then I think your next video was like 60. And I was like, that motherfucker. I was so mad. I was like, you just got a 60 grand video.
But that was after
yeah,
you had already done movies. You kind of were still
I think it
paying
was,
the bills
Yeah.
or keeping the lights on
Yeah.
while moving things around, right? You were doing Wolf, and of course he was very polarizing to the frame, so of
Yeah.
course you're going to do it. But I remember that. I mean, what were some?
Well, and I remember when I was trying to tell you you're like, what's he like? I'm like, he's you. Like, you guys are very similar people in
You did say that.
like your intensity and your drive and like the way you express yourself creatively. You guys are very similar. And I was like, you're either gonna be best friends or you're gonna fucking hate each other. and you guys were. I mean, how many did you do? Like 10 of these for him?
14 music
You
videos.
did 14. Yeah, you guys were best friends. It was great.
Yeah. Weddings, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's. I mean, it's.
And I remember
looking at
those
this
days
picture.
because I tried to. I mean, I remember trying to show Ounce,
Yeah.
his manager, but back then wasn't, showing him some camera tricks and some things. You know, I just thought that was an interesting connection because I didn't even think about it for a second until I realized,
Yeah.
as I was drumming up some ideas of our conversation. I'm like, holy shit,
No, that was a while back.
dude,
Yep.
man.
Trunk Music 5 in the car with all the drone footage, and it was a blast.
I remember that one.
It was
All
a
drone,
blast.
right?
Yeah. That was a fun one.
I remember that.
There was one where he parked on a bridge, and I remember the drone. We just like slowly went up. It was beautiful. It was like that. That was one of my favorite videos. Like, that was a good video. That's the best part about videos is that you can look back and go, "Oh, that was a good moment." Like, and they're so short. You're in, you're out, and it's like you just made this beautiful thing, or you make something that you don't ever want to see again, and you hide that from your list of credits. It's fine.
So something that you can't hide from your list of credits is your I don't know, I would say your most recent. Now you have a movie coming out,
Yeah.
which we haven't seen yet, but
Right.
the most recent success story is Old Henry.
The Old Henry. Yep.
That's insane. I mean, I have so much I want to talk about with that movie,
Man,
because
Yeah.
I don't even know. I just want to say how proud I am.
I appreciate that.
I
I
mean,
really do, because I know you're a good
insane-
critic, so I appreciate it.
Insanely proud. Goosebump, maybe a little welly in the eyes, and proud because to flash forward real quick, when I saw the trailer, we'll go into some stories. I'm sure we'll dive into it, but when you see Super Zeros, I was like,
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay, I see.
film
I
school.
see where I would make that mistake.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, and you wanted that criticism. And you took every bit of it. You didn't. You swallowed it and were like, yes. What can I do?
Yeah.
That's why every project you have done, even Still the King, did it see more than 2 seasons? How many eyeballs? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's the stepping stones that got you to Old Henry. In my
Yeah.
opinion, you deserve every bit of praise.
Appreciate it.
It's insane. It's an
Appreciate it. I
insane
do.
piece of work under a not so easy situation. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember having Matashak, your DP, hollering at me. He was in town. I think he was moving or something. I don't remember. But he asked me to play tennis.
Yeah.
Did he ever tell you that I play tennis with him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
During your
Oh,
production?
yeah. You guys all the time. Yeah.
And he was telling me about your job. He's like, it's tough. It's tough. It was a wintry fall.
Oh, it was December. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was December. Yeah.
And we were playing under the lights, and he's like, you know, hey, I schooled him pretty good, by the way.
In tennis. I'm gonna check that fact.
But he was just saying how driven he is in the production of it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. You know,
that was an amazing experience because it was in COVID, so we had time. So we were shooting in December, but we had a couple months to prep. And so Matashak and I would literally go, and it was all shot on one property. So the whole thing was, everything was a 2,500 acre piece of land.
I've shot there about
It's gorgeous.
7 different music videos.
Yeah, and it doesn't
10
look like
different photo
Nashville.
shoots. No,
It's
and what you
beautiful.
did with it.
Was-
Truthfully, honestly, I have said this to a lot of other directors. What Potsy has done with Horse Thief in Watertown, we all cannot shoot there again.
Well, it's
You have spoiled shooting at Horse Thief because you have raised the bar beyond anything we can do. It's
we also
so
had
good.
a little bit more money than a video.
Of course you did, but honestly, hats off to the whole
Yeah.
crew. I mean,
well, Ruby was amazing. Ruby
course.
was our production designer on that, and she's from Watertown, so she pulled in every favor in the book. And I remember the house we shot. I wanted it to face up the hill, but that's the back of the house. So we actually built a porch, like and the owner of the property tore down a barn to give us old barnwood to build the porch with. Like it was,
Jason, is that his name?
yeah,
Jason.
it was amazing. I mean, we had the best time.
I
but it
honestly
was-
wish I had come to set. He invited me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I could have called you.
Oh, for sure. It was
Wow.
Well, Matashek and I, like, you know, getting back to the prep of it, it was like he would show up with 4 McChickens in his pocket, 2 for me, 2 for him. We would go get on a 4-wheeler, and we would just go get lost in this property and walk through every scene, like every little scene. And we'd pick a tree, we'd like, that's a good hanging tree, but then we'd go around here and we'd find a better one. It was like, or like, here's a good sunset, or here's a hill.
Background or
and
the way
just-
the light, yeah.
And just finding those moments and like, and it was a blast. And so when we got to shoot, we knew everything. And there was a moment, like we knew everything we wanted to do. So I think I'd say probably 80% of it was planned, and 20% was just sort of found in the moments. And so like there was
Really?
one time when Matashek and I were talking, and he was in the back of the room and he was looking at me and he was like, he goes, "Oh shit, hold on!" And there's a mirror right here, a picture when the glass was kind of beveled. He's like, "Dude, check this out." And I was like, "Oh, that's beautiful." He's like, "Let's just shoot from here." And so that changed in that moment because we were talking, and he caught that, and it was, and there was a moment, you know, Tim Blake Nelson, who was just phenomenal in this thing. During filming, he pulled me aside, and this is a guy who never went to his trailer ever. He sat, when he was done shooting, he would sit there for every other actor. He would sit on porch and journal, and
He was so good.
oh, he was phenomenal. But he would tell you stories at lunch and in between sets of like working with the Coen brothers and working with all these people. I'm just like, I just wanted every bit of anything he had to say.
It's funny
But
you said that, but I could tell that you guys had it. You guys seem to have a really.
Oh,
you
I still talk to him once
Okay.
a week. Like I just went down to Georgia. We funded his son's movie that he just started in. We just went down to Georgia. I just saw him like 2 days ago.
I can tell.
Like he's and he was in the one I just shot too. Tim's in it.
We'll get to that in a minute.
But he pulled me aside during filming. He's like, I don't know that you understand what you're doing here. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, this is going to be special. And I was like, you think? I feel like it's coming together, but I don't know. You never know until you show somebody. Like, you can go, oh, this is great. And you show it to somebody and they're like, this is really bad. You need to change this and this. Because it's just your opinion. Nobody's wrong. But he was like, this is going to be something. I was like, all right, I feel like that, but I don't know yet. And then even with the edit, it was like, I looked at it, I was like, I feel really good, but I want to like get opinions. And I showed a couple people and they're like, oh no, it's good. Mm-hmm. And you're like, all right, but is it good? Like, or how, like, what is it? And then, then when we got into Venice and it just got, and then of course you wait for the reviews to come out and you just like, I remember getting I got one good one. I think I got two good ones and my first bad one. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, bad ones are rough. But then the good ones kept coming in. So it did good. But it was.
So how long did it take you to write it?
So.
Explain the writing process of it. I mean, like.
So Shout Studios, which was our partner on it, they came to us and said, there's a plan to do Westerns. If you do $1.5 million, under $2 million Western, you can sell it at Walmart because people at Walmart buy Westerns. Mm-hmm. Walmart shoppers do. You can sell it to them you'll make about $3 million. So you'll double your money, almost. If you have a country music star, you have 3 gunfights, and you have horses.
Boom, boom, and boom.
And so
check, mother.
They showed us these movies.
You're sitting in the side going,
I was like,
okay,
got it,
right.
country star, horse.
Page 27, we're going to Addo.
We need another gunfight. But that's how it went. And so I was like, all right. I was like, show me an example. And they showed examples, and they're the ones they showed were just awful. Like, they're unwatchable.
Really?
It's like, why does this have to be so bad? For me, $1.5 million is, I could do anything with that, because I wanted to prove myself. And so I'm like, all right, we're just going to spend more time on the development, more time on shooting, more time on working with the actors. So, in writing it, it was a movie called Old Dan. And it didn't have the twist in the end. It was just Old Dan. And Shout said, these only, one other stipulation was they have to be historic figures. And I was like, well, fuck. I was like, oh, well, my favorite is the kid. Mm-hmm. I was like, of course. I think I can just shoehorn this in real quick. And that was a last minute ad, was that twist. And I went through and kind of like, manipulated it in. And it paid off. And then when Tim came in, and Tim actually, if you hold a picture of Billy the Kid and Tim Blake Nelson, they're very similar looking and the same height, same build.
I mean, I love his work.
It's crazy. So when he came in, we cut about half of his dialogue. He's like, if I'm hiding out, I don't want to really say much. I was like, I love this idea. So we went through the script and cut most of his dialogue out. He was the greatest partner in the whole thing. And so yeah, we just, that thing we shot it in 21 days.
21
and it was during December, so, daylight hours are short. Fantastic crew from Nashville. Everyone that I'd worked with over the years came out and we just kind of burned our way through it. The final fight scene in the woods where Tim's character shoots Steven Dorff off the horse, and then he looks, he's gone, and then he chases him in the woods and the whole shootout. Sure. We shot him chasing from him seeing him gone to him dying in 2 hours. Because we just had no time.
That leads me to the question then. Does your, looking back at like the old scrappy music video days.
100%.
You know where I'm going with it.
No,
does it feed into your process now?
Yes. No, because and that's the thing. So, and I'll say, like, on the TV show and on the movie I just shot, they were bigger. They were a bigger machine. There were more crew. There were more people, more rules. Like, I can't just go touch a camera because there's a union. There's a rule. I can't move a light because there's a rule. Where I'm used to just going, oh, let me help you guys. Let's all dig in and do this and move stuff and get things going. And so the smaller, I think the smaller you are, the more creative you actually have to be. Absolutely. And that is from music video days of, like, you got to be scrappy and you gotta like, you don't have a dolly, you have a wheelchair, and that's Figure just it. Out. Yeah. So, you just work with that budget and kind of make it in. And I think that's the one thing that, from doing Super Zeros to doing Old Henry, that first movie has to be, like, if you're going to go through the process of doing one, don't just make a movie to make a movie. pick a movie, pick a story, keep it small, and get one known name in there. That's all you have to do. Because if you don't put a name in there, you're not selling it. More than I mean, like there's lightning in a bottle. I could think of 4 maybe, but it's those don't happen often. So you just want to get a good movie out there. But to get it out there, you have to have a name. You have to have people see it.
Sure.
So that's
Would that be one of the kind of like the Super Zeros Potsy versus the old Henry, or actually we'll talk about the new film here soon, but the old Henry Potsy, what would you have?
Oh no, I mean,
can you even look at that person and be like, God, dude?
Well, I can look back and go, I didn't know anything about this business at that time, and there's still a lot I don't know, but there's a lot that we've kind of figured out in the last few years. So once we finished the Still the King, we got out and we were like, all right, now what do we do? We did 2 seasons. We had nothing in the pipeline. So Shannon and I kind of rebooted. We were like, shit, what are we going to do? We have nothing. And shows that show took 1.5 years to get going.
Pipeline.
It's like, so we were just like, all right, let's dig in. So we gave, from the record label, we gave ourselves a film fund. We invested in a couple movies to kind of see how, what is the investing side? How's that working? And I learned a ton of it through Shannon, but we kept seeing the person making the money is a distribution company. Okay. Like, all right, so we need that. Well, Shannon has direct deals to Walmart and Amazon, all that. So he called him up through the music side and he was like, hey, give me a deal on the movie side. So we started our own direct deals. So now we can do basically anything A24 can do, we can do. Which is nice because now when we have a movie, we go, all right, well, it's like on the case of Old Henry. We finished Old Henry. We got an offer from one of the major studios for Old Henry, but it was for not quite 2x what we had in it.
Okay.
And we were like, nah, we know we can hit a little more than that on our model. Yeah. They came up a little bit and we were like, we can't do it. We know we can hit more. And so we just did it ourselves, but we wouldn't have known that. And that's what, a lot of filmmakers will go sell their movie. You make a $2 million movie and you sell it for $500,000 as a MG, you're like, they'll give you $500,000 plus whatever it makes, we get a percentage. You'll never see more money because they have all their marketing expenses. They have all their, and also they hide money and you have to audit them to get it. We invested in Silent Bob? One of them. We audited the company and they owed us like $900,000. And we were like, and there's no punishment. All they do is go, oh, sorry. And then they pay you.
Word.
So that's like, there's so many pitfalls in this business and you just, when you don't know, you just get rolled over. And so it's like learning it has been such a big piece of it. And, it's fun. A lot of it's fun. A lot of it's,
Is it crazy to think how you...
I wish I could give this to whatever...
Yeah, how you... Looking back now, it's kind of crazy to think how you kind of stormed the castle.
Yeah, it's... Nobody was going to... Shannon and I took a meeting after Still the King. He got a meeting through... I don't know if it was... his artists are repped at the big agencies.
Sure.
So we go out there and he's like, can you get us a meeting on the film side? So Shannon and I go out there, we sit down, and we're 2 dudes from Nashville who did a show. We're like, we want to make movies. And they're like, yeah, dude, everyone wants to make movies. And so we left the meeting going, oh, nobody's going to give us shit. Like, you have to do it on your own, especially being outside Nashville. Like, you have to go prove it because nobody's going to give you, you can tell me all day I can make a movie. Until you make a movie, you can't make a movie. That's how everybody thinks. And so you're just like, but I can make a movie.
But it's not so, is looking at the movie process daunting to you in any way?
Less so now.
Yeah, less so.
Because I understand what to do with it once you make it now. And that helps going into it, what you want to do with it.
And you would have only learned that by just going through.
Making errors. Fumbling our way through it for the last 5 years.
So now you have recently just done... You have a new movie coming out.
Yes.
Right?
So we
South
did.
Carolina or something?
North Carolina.
Were you? North Carolina.
Yeah. So this was... So once Old Henry came out, it did well. And my agents, I started getting scripts from everywhere. So I had... In the 9 months after Old Henry, I have a list at home. It's 150 scripts I read. And out of those 150, there was 3 that were good. And one of them I read, and it kept sticking with me. And it was called A Problem of Providence. And it's like this. It was a dark comedy. You know, everyone makes a terrible decision, everybody dies. Like the best kind of movie. And so I was like, all right, that seems fun, and I love watching those movies, so I could direct that. And I didn't want to get stuck in a Western bubble or I don't want to get stuck in a bubble.
You want to get typecast, yeah,
because that happens. And so it's like I'm gonna do something different.
Sure.
So I met with the writer. He was like, cool, you can do it. Met with the producer. He was like, yeah, let's go. And so I had once you get a movie that does decent, you do the rounds of you like go start doing the rounds, and you meet with every company, and they're like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And you talk
your
to
feathers
them.
stick up a little brighter.
And it doesn't lead. You don't get like, hey, here's a movie, go. You still have to build it. Like, I kept expecting like, oh, I'm gonna get offered like, you know, where's my Marvel movie? Where's this? Like, but that shit doesn't happen right away. Like, you still have to build it and push it.
Not Mark Webb.
Right. No, that's yeah. I guess it does happen.
It does happen.
It didn't happen to
Mark.
me.
Good for you, Mark.
Yeah, right. So, so basically, talking about the fuck.
Oh, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Oh, when what was I saying? Damn it. Oh, the new movie.
Oh, the new movie.
So when
God,
I got,
we can't forget about that.
So I got the
we
script.
got a new movie coming out.
So the script was great. In one of my general meetings, I met Dylan Sellers at Limelight, and he was like, what do you we talked about everything. He's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I just found the script. It's amazing. He goes, I want to read it. I was like, all right. He reads it that night.
Now you get that credibility.
Well, he called me.
What is Potsy Ponciroli
Called me
thinking?
the very next day.
What is his mind thinking? I want that.
I want that juice.
I want that.
So he reads this fucking thing overnight, calls me. He's like, can you come out to LA tomorrow? And I was like, yep. So I go to LA, meet him for lunch, and he goes, I want to do this movie. I'm gonna fund it. And I was like, okay. So this was in February, and by what did we shoot? May, June. By May we were shooting, and I had Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Describe the movie. Give me everything. I don't know much about it.
Well, it's a dark comedy. It's a cop and his wife, young couple, moved to this island called Providence. And the guy's first day on the job, something goes wrong. There's a woman that dies, and in the process, they find a bag of money at the scene, and they're like, well, we can kind of cover this up and take the money, but that leads to mistrust and just every wrong decision ever.
Subplots.
It's a great script. It's really good.
Did you write it?
No. Mike Vukadinovic did. But
that's right. You said you got the scripts. Out of all those scripts, that one really spoke
this
to you.
one's, and it stuck with me for a week before I called him back. And it was like, I was like, I got it. I want to do this. But the cast was like, so we called Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We were like, all right, he could play like kind of a shitbag, not a shitbag, but like like kind of not the Joseph Gordon-Levitt and he has the Metallica, horrible mustache and
handlebar.
It's amazing, and he does this role so well. And he so I'm out in LA, and I had to go, like, it was COVID, so I sat in his backyard with him, both wearing masks. We ate sushi. We sat 6 feet apart, and he's like, you know what? He's like, it was like an hour-long meeting. He's like, I'm gonna do it. He goes, if you can get the rest of the cast, I'll do it. And I was like, done. So Joe's in. Then we get Himesh Patel.
What an interesting moment don't just blow by that moment.
No,
sit right there and have someone say, I commit to you.
Well, this is not like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is.
Yeah.
Like, I watched all his movies.
Absolutely.
He's an amazing actor.
It's an amazing a scene to paint.
No, I mean, of course, when I left, I played it real cool in the room, but when I left, I called my wife and I was like, guess what?
Yeah, holy shit.
Because again, next step, not sure I'm allowed to be there. Then we got Himesh Patel, who was in Station 11, and what's the one where he forgets, the world forgets that the Beatles existed? Yesterday.
Okay.
And Himesh was amazing. Got Lily James in it, who played Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson. She played Pam Anderson. Got Uzo Adobu from Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
Jim Gaffigan plays one of the hitmen on the island.
Right.
Simon Rex, who's just phenomenal.
Simon Rex. Okay.
He was really good.
Yeah, I remember him from back in the day.
He just did Red Rocket recently. Had a big He's in a new one with Channing Tatum right now. That Channing's new wife or new fiance directed. Who else? I'm trying to think who else was in it. I'm going to forget somebody because I went out of order. Tim Blake Nelson was in it again.
Okay, of course.
And Joey Lauren Adams, who was also in the show, she came in. So we had this amazing ensemble cast. And this was, so Old Henry, it was like me and Tim, it was one-on-one. It was Tim's story. I was dealing with one actor. This was an ensemble. So it was like, I had to really split time. And it was like learning that process of like, you can't fully give one person all your time. And it's like, you want to dig into this character, but you have to jump to this character, jump to this character. So I learned in this process that I like these stories better, the single character stories.
That's very interesting.
And I never would have thought that. I never, going into it, I was like, I can do that. And it's a whole different beast.
You're becoming more seasoned.
Well, I'm learning my lessons as well. And so,
exactly.
But again, started off at 27 days, got down, and we only got to shoot it in 23 days. So, you know, but it was a bigger budget and it was more fun. So we shot it in North Carolina and I got there. We lived on the beach. We had, everybody got vacation homes on the beach. That's where we lived. And so we were there from February to June.
Whoa.
Or March to June-ish. So it was about March to June.
Rough and icy, huh?
It was amazing. So that one, they're taking it to market now. So it should come out hopefully by the end of the year. And then I have a couple other projects I'm pushing and, I don't know if I can tell you this, I may have to tell you off camera, but I had my greatest moment. And if this comes true, I'm quitting the business. I'm done working because I've reached my dream.
I can't wait to hear it.
And it's coming up soon. So
that's insane. But you know, I will say, I know you got to get to an edit here. Actually, I will let you go here, but you are truly an inspiration to me and to many people who get into this business and start in the short form.
Oh, but so many people do it. It's such an avenue to get there.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, and you transitioned to photo, and I think photos, you're happier than you were doing videos, weren't you?
Yeah.
Like, it's like videos are a great start, but if you stay in it, you'll always be in it.
Yeah.
Because it's comfortable, the money's good, it's fun. It's like you have to like jump out of that, and it's hard. That's hard. I remember when you started doing photos, you were like, I want to do photos now.
I want to do it.
Like,
and I charged
and
the
you
process.
learned the whole process, yeah.
I learned while going through it, yeah.
Well, even this, like, every person I know wants to do a podcast.
Yeah.
But very few people take the time to set the lights up, get the machine, and actually do it. And when you called, I was like, yeah, I want to do that because I want to do a podcast. But the fact that you're doing it, I'm like, fuck. Like, that's awesome. Like, it is because everybody wants to do this.
I appreciate, honestly,
like,
I do
sit
appreciate
and chat with your friends. It's amazing.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I mean, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, brother.
Let's not make it 2 more years when we come back and sit down
2 more
on
years.
Podcast.
Well, hey, let's toast
Cheers.
to that, even though I'm empty.
Oh, damn. I need to catch up.
Yeah, let's get it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, brother.